All right, I think it's 3 minutes past the hour, so let's get started. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. So, really happy to see that a lot of people from all across the world have joined. So, welcome. Let's get started. So, what are we doing today? So, today we are going to have a session which is spec-driven development for Apigee. So, basically, we are going to talk about CI/CD and how it can be done within Apigee. We have got a fully packed agenda for you today. So first of all, we are going to talk about a community that we have recently started, which is called Madden APIs, and I'm going to show you, what we are trying to do within that, what our goals are, and so on. Then I'm going to introduce our superstar presenter, Christophe, live from Paris, who is the star of the show and who is going to be giving you the insights about how to do CI/CD within Apigee. After that, we have some updates towards the end and some news about the community building stuff that we have been doing. So I'm going to talk about that. So let's get started. So first of all, talking about the Madden APIs community, right? So this is a community that was born in Madrid with a view to provide a platform for our API and integration, let's say, team. The goal for this community is definitely to share knowledge on the platform. We want to help people with their questions. We want to share success stories, and we really want to help with the, let's say, how do you get started with the platform and how do you derive the most amount of value from it. So you are very welcome to join, and at the end we are going to share how you can do that. Moving on to some introductions. My name is Pulkit. I am a customer engineer in the Apigee team based in Netherlands. I've lived there for the past 9 years. And basically, I help our customers extract the most amount of value from the platform. And today I have with me Christophe, who is live from France. He's the Google Cloud lead for Apigee, and he's a senior solutions architect. He has a very broad amount of knowledge in a wide variety of IT domains, specifically in the API side of things. And he has been working with some of our biggest customers over the last few years to ensure that the API transformation programs succeed. Christophe, is it okay if I hand the stage to you and you give maybe a short view of what you do, who you are, and what your focus is, and then you go forward with the presentation?
Yes, thank you, Pulkit. So hi everybody. So very pleased to be here with you. So my name is Christophe Lalevé. I'm a customer engineer in France, working on Apigee management solution for years now, and with API for many years now. So the goal is to support our customer with their API strategy, to be able to make a success. And typically in this API implementation, the way that you will implement your Apigee platform is very key. That means API platform don't have to be something that will block your developer. It has to be something that will accelerate your developer. And in this way, the goal is to automate a lot of things, and this is what we are going to see today. That means how we can create a very great developer experience for API developer inside the company. That means from a traditional pipeline that we can build, and this will be the first part of my presentation, the fundamental. That means what is the typical Apigee CI/CD implementation, the minimum that we have to implement. And the second part will be, okay, so we have it. This is the state where many of our customers are today, and how we can go to the next step. And the next step will use templatization, and we will see that starting only with a template, of course, but also with an API specification, we can automate everything. We will not talk anymore about how to create a proxy, how we are sure that all the proxy implement the right policies, the required policy. We can do everything automatically. And this is the next step that you can build right now. You can right now, we provide right now all the tools that will allow you to implement this kind of template, of a pipeline, sorry. And we will see a next step, maybe the future for you, that is it possible to hide completely a pipeline to our API developer? That means if I only want to manage specification, my API definition, is it possible? I just want to create my specification and that's done. My specification can be validated, can be deployed, can be used. I have no idea, in fact, about how to create a proxy. Is there a proxy maybe? And is there a pipeline behind? So this is the next step, the third point that I will explain today. So let's start with the first point, that means the fundamentals for Apigee CI/CD. We all know that to be able to develop a proxy, to be able to expose a backend API in Apigee, we have to develop an API proxy. This API proxy will support policies for security purpose, for mediation, for traffic management. This is the thing that we have to implement. The interface is great. It's very easy to use. This is the feedback we have from quite all our customers, that it's very easy to start to use this interface. We have debug tools. We give you a very deep knowledge of what's happened in your pipeline, in your proxy during the execution. But the fact is, to create this kind of proxy, I have to use my mouse and to click on the right, on the left, and I can create this proxy. So we all know that this is not the good thing that we have to do, because it's good for a sandbox, it's good to practice, it's good to try maybe something, but it's not good for productization. I cannot be sure that when I click on the right, on the left, I can do the same, I will do the same on the production environment. So of course, I have to be able to automate everything. When I say I have to be able, it's a goal for developers. That means developers don't want to reinvent everything every time. So we want that developer can deploy without knowing Apigee, I would say, in an automatic way, the same thing that in the past, and to go fast, to be autonomous, to be agile. They want to do things that is more automated to be able to achieve this goal. The operation team is also very interested in this kind of automation, because they are sure that we will implement for all developers, all the project, the same kind of proxy, of policy. So if they define that to be able to log a traffic in the logging system, then they implement the policy, and we are sure that we will use and reuse it every time we will deploy a proxy. And of course, security is key in API exposure on public network, but also on private network. So we want to be sure that even if we have the best policies in Apigee to manage authentication, authorization, throttling, threat protection, all this kind of thing, am I sure that it is implemented? I want to be sure that I deploy all the required policy in my proxy, and that's why we want also to implement this kind of security policy implementation, to have the same level of security everywhere for all my proxy. In Apigee, we used to present this CI/CD lifecycle. That means all the kind of things we can automate, and we will see it live just after, when I want to automate my proxy deployment. So the first thing I have to do, of course, is to create my proxy. I can use a web UI, as I said. I can use also an IDE, VS Code, for example, to be able to create my proxy. And we will see just after that there is better ways to do that. When my proxy is created, maybe I can copy an existing proxy and update it. When my proxy is created, I can store it into a source code management system, a Git solution, for example. You can choose the one you want. It can be on GCP, of course. It can be GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, whatever. We can use this GitOps approach to be able to manage your proxy development and your proxy deployment. Before, to automatically deploy my proxy code that here in this SCM, I have to run some tests. And don't forget that no automatic deployment without automatic testing. This is something that is very key. We can do some quality analysis test. It can take into account the specification, if you provide the specification in the repo. We provide an Apigee linter to validate the quality of code of your proxy that you are currently deployed. And we can use also some specific language linter, because keep in mind that in Apigee, if you don't find the right policy to implement what you want to do, you can use some standard languages like JavaScript, Python, or Java to create your own policy. And this is code. JavaScript's code, for example, have to be validated before deployed. So we can use something that is open source like ESLint, for example. The next step for this kind of code policies is to run some unit tests. Java, Python, or JavaScript, I want to be sure that this code is okay, it runs well. I can prepare some unit tests for that. So we can run this unit test. And when everything is okay, then we could deploy Apigee. Two ways to deploy Apigee. In fact, we provide a Maven plugin. It's more a developer approach. So Maven, it's a well-known tool to be able to build and deploy more Java code, but it's also open to other solutions. And Apigee team provides some Maven plugin to be able to deploy proxy and all the Apigee configuration. But if you want to create some, if you prefer to create some script, we also provide a CLI, Apigee CLI, that allows you to script the deployment of proxy and configuration. After the deployment, we have to be sure that everything runs as expected, run well and as expected. And for that, we will do some integration tests or maybe some load tests if we want to be sure that in terms of performance, it's okay. This will be end-to-end tests from the consumer of the API to the producer. And for that, we will see just after the tooling. Google Apigee provide an Apigee solution that allows you to create some scenario before the deployment and to validate the scenario after the deployment. Something that is also very key in this lifecycle, in this pipeline, is the fact that we want to be auditable. That means at the end, I want to find some report that proves that when I deploy my proxy, the specification was good, the proxy code was good, the deployment was good, the integration test was good. So I want to keep this kind of thing, to be auditable, to keep some trust maybe of the deployment itself. It can be Jira, it's only an example. It can be in the pipeline itself as an artifact of the pipeline, and this is what I will use in my demonstration. But I want to prove that it's okay. And maybe even if I didn't stop the deployment because there is a warning, not an error, I want to be able to explain what using this reporting. And next step, it could be an option, it could be automatic also. It's to publish the documentation of the API into a developer portal. So publish this documentation in the developer portal can be very easy if you want only to document the API with and with the specification. Sometimes it can be more complex because you want to explain how to use it, use cases, value of parameter, and this kind of thing. And in this case, it will not be automatic. Maybe not so far using Gen AI, but currently it still be a human that have to write some description of the use cases and this kind of thing. And we will see also that this documentation can be very useful in a governance tool. That means it's useful for developers, but also in terms of governance. If I deploy a new API, I want to be able to see it in my governance tool, to see that there is a new version, there is a new API, it's hosted in this Apigee instances, this one and this one, hybrid or X, whatever. I want to have this full view of all my API. So at the end of the pipeline, I can deploy my API in my governance tool. How we can implement this in terms of tooling? So first, this is a quick overview of the Google Apigee portfolio. We can see in the middle that we have Apigee itself, the API management solution, with these two advanced options. The first one is advanced API security, tools based on AI that is able to detect some, to do some anomaly detection on your traffic, on your operation, to run some risk assessment on your API implementation. All these kind of things can be done by advanced API security. And the other one, maybe more easy to understand, it's monetization. How I can create a plan to monetize my API, not only the number of calls, but maybe the volume or the value of the data can be monetized with a very complex plan if needed. On the left, we can see also API Hub. API Hub, it's a new service that we have on GCP that allows you to provide this governance layer on top of Apigee. And when I say on top of Apigee, it's on top of Apigee, but maybe other gateway that you could have, maybe an AWS gateway running in AWS, one Apigee running on GCP, maybe production and non-production and pre-production. I want to see everything. Maybe APIs that are not hosted, managed by an API manager, I want to see everything. So API Hub, it's our universal catalog of all the enterprise API, managing lifecycle, managing compliance of the design of the API. So all this governance stuff that you can imagine on top of the on an API program. And on the right, we have application integration. This is an iPaaS-like service running on GCP that can be used to manage data flow in a data platform, for example. But it can be used also as the backend for Apigee if you want to compose or to orchestrate some API just after the API management layer. We will see in this demonstration, in this session, that we will use, of course, my Apigee proxy that is hosted here, but we will use also advanced API security because we want to assess that the security level, the security protection level of the API deploy is okay based on profile. So we will do that. And we will use also API Hub to reference my new API when it's deployed. So we will use all different kind of services in the pipeline to create a full story from development to security to the governance of the API, all in one pipeline. Deploying an API proxy means that, of course, we will deploy the code for the proxy itself, and maybe for the shared flow, something like a dynamic library that we can use to develop a very efficient way on Apigee. And for that, we can, as I said before, we can use Maven plugin, we can use CLI, and of course, we can use the API management. Apigee is a full API platform that you have API to do everything, to create proxy, to get analytics, to get metrics on monitoring, to push into the portal. Everything can be done with an API on the platform itself. So, of course, we can deploy a proxy with this API. And if we want to deploy the rest of the configuration, and the rest configuration can be all the variables that we can have, like key value maps, target server, Fluke, and others. There is a lot of things that can be variabilized on Apigee. It can be done also the same way. An API product to create an offering from Apigee proxy can be done automatically also. Declare an application developer, and maybe push the API doc to the developer portal. All this kind of thing can be automated with the pipeline. And for that, we will use the same tool, quite the same tool. It's another Apigee Maven plugin. It's config, it's not deploy, but it's the same principle. And for the last module, we will use API Hub. We have also a Maven plugin for that, API Hub Maven plugin, Apigee CLI, and of course the management API that can be used in the same way. So you can see that for all the components of the Apigee offering, Maven plugin, CLI, API, you can build a full solution on the solution of your choice. In fact. Next, if I want to do it, if I want to explain if of the tool rapidly, because I want to go up to the demonstration, then it's very easy to create a proxy, as I said, and maybe at the beginning, you don't want to start from a white page on your IDE. You will prefer to create something in the UI and then to download it, to store it after that in Git. So very easy to do. I create my proxy, drag and drop of all the needed policies, then I can export it using this interface. I will get a zip file with XML bundle in it, and I can take it in my VS Code environment, for example, if I want to edit it. We provide also some plugin for VS Code. You have, for example, an Apigee snippet plugin that you can see on the screen that allows you to dynamically generate template snippet of Apigee policy. Like that, it's very easy to create new policy in VS Code itself. We provide a way to assess the quality of the proxy code locally in VS Code, right click, and then I can run the test, Apigee lint test locally on my VS Code to validate that it's okay before I could pretend to deploy my proxy. And of course, we have in VS Code also the capabilities to deploy Cloud Code, the GCP developer environment inside of GCP, and we will talk about that a little bit later. Plus, of course, maybe a Git plugin, a Maven plugin, a specification plugin, or the Java plugin if you want to create some Java policies. All this kind of thing, of course, can be added to VS Code. I will not spend too much time on this slide, but this is something also that you have to know, that when you deploy your Apigee environment in VS Code, you are able also to run the proxy locally. That means the Apigee gateway message processor can run on your laptop with a container, a Docker container. That means that a developer can work locally, deploy locally, and test locally his proxy before pushing to Git to be deployed central in the central place on an Apigee instance. So we have all the documentation online, of course, but you can create in this local environment. You can create proxy, you can create KVM, you can create product, you can create everything locally to simulate a mini Apigee that run locally instead of starting in the central development place that can be proposed by an Apigee instance. Next, what are the tools that I will use? I will use Spectral, a well-known open source linter for specification. Keep in mind also something that is very important, that Spectral can be configured with your enterprise rule. That means that that you will assess the quality of the specification based on your rules, not the standard rules. We can use also Apigee lint. Apigee lint is a Apigee linter that will look at the way you create the proxy itself, XML bundle, and will assess of the quality of the code of your proxy. This tool come with a standard rules provided by Apigee, but again, you can create your own rules. That means if you want to say that I want to be sure that the name of my policy respect this rule, I want to be sure that every time I have a spike arrest policy in my proxy, you can add your own enterprise rules in this linter. So something that you have to configure at the enterprise level, and then to apply automatically in your pipeline. And as I said before, this Apigee lint will be run in the pipeline itself, but will be run also locally before trying to deploy. I want to be sure that I respect the enterprise rule, and this is Apigee lint for VS Code that you can deploy, configure in your VS Code environment. For JavaScript, Python, or Java, you will have these specific tools. ESLint, for example, for JavaScript. It is not provided by Google. It's an open source tool. You can use this one or maybe another one. The thing that is important is you can validate the quality of your JavaScript and run some unit tests of your JavaScript. Mocha or maybe another one, but validate the quality of the code you will put in your Apigee policy. Maven plugin. So Maven plugin, it's based in the Maven environment. As I said before, we have 3 Maven plugin. The one Apigee deploy Maven plugin to deploy a proxy. The second one, Apigee config Maven plugin to deploy KVM, product, application, API doc in the portal, all this kind of thing. And the third one, Apigee API Hub plugin, that will allow you to deploy your API in the API Hub, our governance solution. For each of the plugins, you will have to respect this kind of definition. And for example, for the Apigee deploy, you need to have an Apigee proxy with the XML bundle in it. So policies and proxy, or maybe shared flow instead of proxy. For the Apigee config, you can define the variables, the object you want to create in Apigee at the API level, proxy, environment level, or organization level. For example, if you want to create a developer, you will have to update this developer.json to give all the information required to create a developer. You can also have for config Maven plugin one single JSON file with everything in it as you want. It's your choice. If you don't want to use this Maven plugin, then you can use Apigee CLI. Apigee CLI is a command line tool that can be used for development purpose. That means to be able to deploy proxy, but you can also use it for task, administrative tasks. That means to get the analytics or maybe to get some information of your Apigee instance. All this kind of thing can be done by Apigee CLI command. It's very powerful one, but with this one, you can easily deploy a proxy, deploy KVM, create variable in KVM. All this kind of thing can be done with this Apigee CLI command. At the end of the deployment, to validate that the deployment is okay, I will use Apigee, the Apigee tool Apigee. Apigee is based on the Cucumber, an open source framework for testing, for BDD, Behavior-Driven Development Test. It's not maybe so clear on this slide, but here you can create some rules to declare in a very natural language what you want to do. As a API consumer, if I give this variable, this parameter on my API, and then I should receive a 200 code, and then with payload like this. So very easy to create a rules for all one or many API from one or many calls. You have to create this, and at the end, if this scenario can be run, you will receive this kind of report. All green, it's okay. If you have some red piece, of course, that means that something goes wrong, and you have to modify your proxy and rewrite something, probably to respect the quality and the run of your code. And of course, the Apigee API, everything can be done with this API. It's not maybe it's maybe too low level because I have to do to write some curl or to write some code to be able to call it. But with it, you are sure that you can do everything. If you have something that you can do with Apigee CLI or maybe the Maven plugin, you could do it with Apigee API for sure. So let's have a look on the first sample. And for this first sample, I will use this repo. I decided to use one GitLab example and one GitLab CI example and one GitLab Action example. But keep in mind that we can do that. We can write this kind of pipeline with Azure Pipeline, Cloud Build, of course, on GCP, Circle CI, whatever. Every time you are able to create a task for Maven, for script code, you are able to implement Apigee in it. So very no restriction on that. So you can see here my repo configuration. I have the definition of my proxy with all my policy that are here, for example. I created also a configuration in one single file, and I can in this way declare that I want to create a target server variable, for example, with all the required information at this point. I will also push my specification that document the proxy I am currently trying to deploy, and all the tests I want to execute before or after the deployment. So my spectral configuration, very easy. I will take it externally, in fact. My unit test for my JavaScript code here, and at the end here my Apigee test. And you can see, for example, here that I said that for this API, if I call the API with /airport, I should get a 200 HTTP code and then get an array with 50 record in it. If I do it with a limit 42, I should only receive 42. So it can be some functional or maybe more technical test that you can write this way. You have also to write the fact that you are able to manage error code. That means if I ask information for an airport that does not exist, I should receive the 404. I have to test it. I want to be sure that I manage in a proper way the error code. When it's done, I have to execute my GitLab pipeline. Very easy to write. I have, of course, to say which Apigee instance and environment I want to deploy to. It's only a matter of variables. And after that, I can manage a branch logic if I want. That means if I commit a test branch, I will deploy in an Apigee test environment. If I deploy in my main branch, I will deploy in my production environment, for example. So we can manage it in the pipeline itself. And then this is all the stages I will have to execute: install dependency, validate the specification with Spectral, run static code analysis for my Apigee proxy and my my JavaScript policies, run some unit tests for my JavaScript policy, deploy the configuration, package, config, and deploy my proxy, and then run test integration. This code is public. I will share with you the link where you could find this kind of pipeline. You can see that it's not very something complicated. For example, if I want to here this is a spectral, here this is Apigee lint. I just have to call this command with the right parameter and it's done. And the result will be something like that. That means in my GitLab, I run this pipeline this morning. I have all my stages that were well executed. And for each stage, I'm able to prove that the configuration, the tests were good. So this is my spectral lint. I can download here the artifact. And then you can see that, in fact, it's not so good. But I accepted the deployment, whatever. So this is the analyze of my specification, and you will have the same for all the stage that that generate some artifact, and at the end, this will be the integration test that will be run here with Apigee. And again, does it run well or not? I can download the artifact and see my Cucumber report. Everything is okay. I can prove that I test my 200 code. I test my 404 code. Everything is green. So my scenario is okay. So this is the standard pipeline that you can deploy to Apigee, deploy config, deploy proxy itself, and test everywhere. Test before the deployment, test after the deployment. From an architecture point of view, you have this kind of thing, different way to create a proxy. Then you can push your proxy and the pipeline file in the Git repo, and automatically it will run and deploy proxy in the right organization, in the right environment. Very simple. The next step will be, I don't want to manage proxy. In fact, all my proxy are the same. I log in the same way. I'm authenticate the same way. If I take the rule of 80-20, so 80% of my proxy are the same. So I want to use template. You can create some kind of template in the UI, a proxy that you can copy in the UI itself. But again, we don't want to use the UI for industrialization, for the supply chain of my API. You can also copy some proxy in the IDE and then update the proxy manually. It's not the best because it's manually, so we can generate some error. So we have a tool for years, OpenAPI to Apigee, that allows you to take a specification and to create a proxy. But it's only a skeleton of a proxy. There is not all the policy that I define as required in my enterprise. So need some additional customization, so maybe not the best if you don't want to do that. Apigee CLI allows you to create some kind of template, but all the policies are not available. So I can decide to, from a specification, to create a proxy with SpikeRS, quota, verify API key, but that's all. Not all the policies are available. Not my configuration are available in Apigee CLI. This one is a little bit specific. That means a WSDL to Apigee that allows you to create an Apigee proxies starting from a WSDL. So this one is very good. That means if you have a WSDL available, we will create a complex proxy available to expose your SOAP service as a REST service, for example, in Apigee. So this one is quite good, but it's not a template. We're starting for a WSDL, and then you create a proxy in the standard way. no configuration available in the way I am created this REST proxy. So we need another tool. And we created this tool this year. And the name of this tool is Apigee GoGen. Apigee GoGen allows you to create proxy template as a YAML file. The proxy you want. That means I want course policy, spike arrest policy, quota policy, logging policy with this log format. Everything that you can write in the UI, you can put it in this template. So you can create your template in the UI. You can download the template on your laptop, and then Apigee GoGen allows you to transform this XML bundle into a YAML file. And this YAML file is a template. It's based on Golang text template solution, a templatizer from the Golang ecosystem, very well known in Helm or Hugo solutions. That means it's a robust templatization tool that you could use for Apigee. And with Apigee GoGen Transform, we can switch from one format to another, XML bundle, for example, to YAML, or the other way, transform your OpenAPI specification to 3. So some quite a useful command that we can run this Apigee GoGen. And of course, the render part is to take the template, take a specification, and then generate a proxy with all the conditional flow in the proxy, with all the policy in the proxy. So something that is very full templatization. All the thing that I create a template, I create a specification, I can do everything. I don't have to know Apigee. In fact, someone created the template for me. I don't have to know the Apigee. I can create a very robust proxy with that. And it's something that is very key from a security point of view, from ops point of view. I can make my template validated by the ops. I'm sure that I have all the policy validated by the security team. I'm sure that everything is in it. And then all the proxy that I will create will have the same level of policy in it. I just have to provide this specification on top of this template. If we have a look at the pipeline I can create, and I will switch to GitHub Action. In my repo here, in GitHub Action, forget this proxy is not needed anymore. So I can remove it. I have here in my proxy, the first thing I have here in my repository, it can be a template that I will use to create a new repository. I have the template of my proxy. This is the template of my proxy. It's a YAML file. I can define all the policy I want to use. I can define some dynamic rules, and typically this rule here say that the name of the proxy will be found in the specification in the title part of my specification. The display name also, the description will be used in the info description of the specification. So we provide this kind of template, but you can write your own if you want. That means that there is some static part. This one is static, and there is some dynamic part. You can create also some loop, in fact, to create all the conditional flow corresponding to all the method you have in the specification. So here, this is my template. So provide the template, provide my policy definition. Also, this is in this part the Apigee GoGen part of my pipeline. The specification always the same. I have also my portal definition, because in this pipeline I will go up to publish my my API product in the integrated portal. For that, I need an image here. I need a definition of an API doc that will be pushed to the portal. I need also to create a product. and the definition of the product itself is here with the quota, the proxy that you will use, etc. So portal, it's my config definition, my specification definition, my template definition, my API hub definition. We will see that just after, to how we can initialize automatically my governance layer on top of Apigee. And after that, that's all. I don't need any proxy, just the template. A specification here, a template here, and that's all. I can deploy my proxy. If I look at my my pipeline, so there is the first job that will generate the proxy. The second one will deploy the proxy. This one is exactly the same that you have seen in the GitLab part. That means all the steps with the integrated test that you have seen in the pipeline part. Publish to the integrated portal, publish to the API hub, and we have a new step that is to assess live the quality in terms of security of my proxy. With advanced API security, we are able to run a risk assessment, and for that we will use it in the pipeline itself. We deploy the proxy. From a static point of view, everything is okay, but live, I want to be sure that everything is okay. My proxy can call shared flow, maybe. So I can see it in my proxy code, but when I run the proxy, I can validate that this policy calls the shared flow implements the right policy. So every kind of thing like that can be validated live, and for that, I will use this application integration security assessment. If I look at the result of this kind of pipeline, this will do this one.
Christoph, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think we are running a little bit out of time because we have a lot of questions to be taken. So if you could finish within the next 1 or 2 minutes, that would be really awesome.
Yeah, sure. So this is the same kind of pipeline that you have seen before. Generate proxy, deploy proxy, run the risk assessment, and this risk assessment, will generate artifact also. And for example, you can see that in this way, we can do better. The score of this, in terms of security, the score of this proxy, it's 78%. So maybe we can do better, and we validate here. We indicate, what we have done. The last step, as I said, it's to be able to provide, in fact, a pipeline with no pipeline. That means I can code my API specification. I want to push it in my governance layer, and automatically this will create the proxy, deploy it in the runtime, update the API developer portal, and that's all. So you can see here that I'm not managing anymore an IDE. I create a specification, maybe using Gemini code assist for Apigee. With the prompt, I can generate my specification, store it in API hub, and that's done. And we could implement this kind of use case. With Cloud Code and Gemini, I create my specification, push it into API hub. API hub is an event-based solution that will manage this event with application integration, review, validation, and my pipeline will do everything. So in this case, we can imagine that developer will not have to use IDE anymore, just have to create a specification and store it in API hub, and everything will be done automatically. And thank you. Sorry to be late, in fact.
No worries, Christopher. No worries at all. Thank you very, very much for this very informative and engaging session. I definitely learned a lot. So let's go forward now. And yes, let's talk about the Google Cloud community. First of all, So this is an online community which you can join, and where you can ask questions, and a lot of our team members are there, but a lot of our customers and partners are there with very extensive experience with the platform and so on. So please contribute to that. We would be very happy and glad to see you there. Also, there are the Apigee and Append forums that you can use there to ask these questions and so on. And we are also going to put the link to that in the chat as well. There are also frequently these product sections where we share things about new product features that are going to be launched, and we would love to have your feedback on that as well, of course. Then I'm very excited to share something very exciting. So on December the 5th, we are going to host an end of year gathering in the Google premises in Madrid on the social impact of APIs and the launch of Google Cloud's new Append 2. Right? So we would be very happy to see you there. So if you are in or around Madrid, please register at the link that is going to be shared in the chat, and it would be really great to have you there as well. All right, so now let's go ahead to the Q&A. Let me read out the questions. I see that there are a lot of questions in the chat, so everybody, thank you very much for all of these questions. So Christoph, the first question is, can we, the below 3 stages, build, deploy stage, run integration test, and publish report? The goal here is to be able to publish reports on a consistent basis, figure out a pattern of success and failures, etc.
Yeah, we can do that definitively. Build, deploy stage, yes. Run integration test at the end and publish the report. Currently, in my demo, I store the report in the pipeline itself as an artifact, but you can publish it wherever you want, as far as you are able to dynamically do it. That means I have a customer publishing in Slack, for example. Why not? Or in Jira. This is something that can be done.
Okay, thank you. Before we go on, if we are not able to respond to all the questions today, we are going to respond to them in the Google Cloud community page. So don't worry about that. Second one is, would Apigee offer a capability like Swagger Hub to be able to create specs first, since we are talking about spec-driven development here?
Yeah, currently the way we are, the thing that we are that we propose, in fact, to create spec, it's to use GenAI to create the specification in VS Code itself. It's a very new way to do it. That means it's not an edit mode with a code I have to write everything like that. I just have to prompt, and then this will generate my specification. Of course, I can update it. And the thing that you have to keep in mind, it's not ChatGPT. That means, of course, you can do that on ChatGPT, but the way we are doing it on GCP, it's if you push all your specification in API Hub, that means all your specification in API Hub will be your enterprise context. That means in all your API, in all your specification in API Hub, we will see the same authentication schema. We will see the same error definition. We will see the same information definition. And based on that, when we prompt to generate a specification, we will not generate a specification, but we will get all the things that are standard in API Hub to create a new specification. So probably you will have the same authentication method, because you are doing OAuth current credentials everywhere, or OpenAPI Connect everywhere. We will have the same error definition, 200, 404, etc. So currently, this is what we are proposing. From this, also with GenAI, we are able to create a MOG that will be deployed in GCP. All these kind of things are based on Gemini Code Assist, in fact, for developer. Currently, we are not providing an editor, an IDE, to create manually a specification. We are using the GenAI capabilities to do that.
Thank you, Christoph. Maybe this is a nice thing to have in our next session, right? So that could be very cool for people to see.
Yeah.
But okay, let's go forward to the next question. So the next one is it planned to have Apigee local development for IntelliJ like we have for VS Code?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I can check. I can answer in the community, but I'm not sure that we have everything. Cloud Code is in IntelliJ, but I'm not sure that Apigee we will provide everything like that in IntelliJ for Apigee.
Sure, thanks. Next one is what about Terraform for deployment of proxies and configs?
Yeah. Terraform, we provide some Terraform module, but for infrastructure. Terraform, initially, it's infrastructure as code. Apigee, it's configuration as code or code itself. It's not infrastructure. So Google does not provide a Terraform module to be able to deploy proxy and configuration. The URL we mentioned, effectively, this is something that it exists. It's not Google behind. That means it's not supported by Google, promoted by Google. Someone created it. It's okay. You can use it if you want, but it's not supported by Google. Google push more developer CI/CD and config as code approach for that.
Clear. Thank you. Then we go to the next one. It is, I tried to use a local Apigee development, but when I deploy to Apigee Cloud with archive environment, I have an issue with the new editor design. This API can't work, but works fine in the classic side of things. So do you have any way to fix it or do it? I'm not sure if the question is 100% clear, but go ahead, please.
Yeah, in fact, the archive environment on Apigee, it's something that we promoted in the past that allows you effectively to move from your IDE to the Apigee instance in the cloud with no UI, as you mentioned. You cannot see it. You have to use a command line to be able to see it. And my point of view, it's not something that you have to promote in your company. You use local development. It's I think it's something that is very good, but at the end, don't use this archive kind of deployment. Instead, what you did, move it to the GitOps approach, and then with a pipeline, you can do tests, you can do validation, you can do everything. But this archive environment, I'm not sure that we will keep it for a long time.
All right, thank you. So the next question from John Williams. Lots of customers ask for this, whether we can create APIs without using the Apigee management UI, just by using a simple UI and checkboxes to generate the XML policies. This makes the enterprise to be an API center for enablement, and the adoption would go higher as they do not have to learn Apigee proxy development.
What I can see working with customer, it's we are not provide this interface, this checkbox interface, but in fact you can now easily do it with Apigee GoGen. That means it's very easy to say that I have template number 1 for external exposition, template number 2 for internal exposition, template number 3, I don't know, for partner exposition. And customer just have to select this one or this one or this one. And then you have 3 templates behind. You have to ask for a specification, of course, because there is all the base path, the backend in it. And then it can be done easily. So we are not provided it, but it's not too complex to do it now with this Apigee GoGen new tool.
Thank you. Before we go forward, please take a moment to give us some feedback by responding to the poll question that has just been put in the chat. So we would be very happy to hear what did you like about this session, what would you like to see in the next sessions, and so on. So please give us some feedback so we can make it better. Then the next question is, do you have a Terraform provider for APGX? I believe the question is yes, of course.
Yes, but for infrastructure only, not for proxy.
Exactly, yes. All right, then the next question from Eduardo is, can we integrate Apache JMeter in order to include performance test in the pipeline?
Yeah. Typically, performance tests or load tests are something that are done when we promote the proxy to pre-production or to production environment to validate end-to-end, because there is Apigee with the proxy, but after that there is the backend itself, and we want to validate all the steps that Apigee is able to answer fast, and the backend is able to support the workload, for example. So yes, definitively it's a good idea to integrate this kind of tool.
Perfect. I think we have 4 more questions remaining, so we can probably take them in the next couple of minutes. I know it's over time, but maybe we can take a few minutes to get through them. The next question from Nicola, which approach do you usually prefer to develop a proxy? Do you do it in the GUI, you export the bundle and upload to the source code repository, or second way?
It's a tricky question because I don't work in a production environment. So I will give you 2 answers. The first one is when I create a proxy for demonstration. That one, I don't want to keep it after the demonstration, just the time to run the demonstration. For that, I use template in the web UI. I have a proxy in my web UI, never deploy but already including all my policy. And in the UI, I just have to click on it, duplicate, then provide the right base path, provide the right backend, and it's done. It's good, but it's not an industrialized approach. That means if I want to do some rollback, if I want to do some disaster recovery, if I want to do some promotion between environment 1, 2, 3, I cannot do it. So in this case, I have to go back to the GitOps approach. The best way is to create template. Please try the Apigee GoGen tool. You will see that it's very easy to use. We will provide you the link to the repo. There is a lot of example. You have already some template that you can customize if you want. It's very powerful. A specification, a template, and you have the proxy in one command line. So very easy to do, and then of course store in the repo to be able to deploy it with the test. The pipeline, in the pipeline, you have the fact that you can do it again and again the same way, with the same test, with the same report that you will generate. And for production, it's something that it's mandatory.
Amazing. Thank you, Christophe. Next question from Source. Policies are written in XML. What is the reason that these GoGen features utilize JSON or YAML? Or from the second side, what is the reason that the policies are XML instead of JSON or YAML? Interesting question, I would say.
Yeah. Historically, it was XML bundle. At the beginning of Apigee is a quite old solution now. And at the beginning, we used this XML bundle. And if we think about it, it's not so bad. That means when you work in VS Code in your IDE, it's very easy to take a file and to copy it from one folder to another one. And this way you can copy your policy. You create a policy, it's a file, you copy it in another proxy, it's a folder, very easy to do. So it's quite easy to manipulate. I don't know if you try some other solution. I have in mind another solution with a YAML file with I don't know, dozen of lines, and I try to copy one piece of code to put, not easy. So for complex proxy, XML bundle, XML format, it's not a bad thing. But you're right, for very simple proxy, maybe we can do better with a YAML file. My assumption, and it's probably we will support both. We will keep XML file maybe for complex configuration, and we will promote YAML file for simple configuration. And like that, you can choose one or the other as you want.
Amazing. Thank you, Christoph. All right. I think those were all of the questions because I see the rest of the questions are just about sharing the repo links, the sample pipeline code, and some more documentation about the CI/CD integration for common tools like GitLab CI and GitLab CD. So we are of course going to share that later on. At the end, I would just like to thank you all for spending this time with us. I hope very very much that it was really useful to you, and we hope to see you in all the various forums that we mentioned in during the call. So thank you very much. Thank you for all the participation questions, and special thank you, Christoph and Christoph, to lead the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.